Hello there, my dear. I am so excited to welcome you back for another channel message this week. Whoa. Um, just taking in the presence of being in the records. Um, as I usually say, take what resonates and leave the rest. And for some reason, I'm always guided to remind folks that perhaps not every part of the message, every single part of it is for you. One of you may feel like it is, some of you may, but it's okay for you to say, I received what I was supposed to receive, and that doesn't apply to me. I don't want encourage, I don't want to, and I don't want to encourage anyone to, putting all the words together, um, to sit and overthinking and wondering, does this apply? Like I wasn't really having this sensation. Like your heart and your soul will know when it hears the message. Like what part of it rings true. So trust that part of you too. All right, so let's begin. Um, I'm gonna tune in to see what the message is. Hmm. Hmm. So, as I always say, I don't ever know what the message is until I turn on the camera and go. I don't tend to plan too much. There might be other videos where I plan, where you see me with my book, or I'm doing like a heart to heart with you, and I might plan a little bit. But if these channel videos are like straight channeling, I don't tend to plan whatever the message is. Um, and there's a part of me that wants to also share is that I don't always receive messages for others as I'm walking through the world. Like that, I don't tend to keep the records open. Like I don't tend to exist that way all the time because that can be kind of taxing energetically. So when I mean like I turn on the camera and I go, I turn on the camera and I go, based on what's being called for me in that moment. Um, all right. So they're sharing, this is like the title of the message today. Community is the lifeblood. And I said, I often ask them questions to so they can refine what the message is because without oracle cards and the message just coming through me as a vessel, sometimes I want a lot more specificity and they're like, nah. So that happens, you'll notice as the message moves on, I'll gather specificity then. But so I kept asking like lifeblood of, and then they were like not giving me an answer. And then as I said it, they're like of everything. So I will repeat the title of the message. Community is the lifeblood of everything. They're saying that when I first entered the records for those in the Truly Yours Collective, I heard and felt and sensed a lot of discord like out in the field. Like that there's uh tension between humans as it relates to those that you're in community with. So like and it was like a very they're asking me to like share the sense of the sound. It was just like there's a lot of like talking, but the energy of it feels like it's not very like it feels like it's just there. It's like a hum of discontentment, even as conversation is happening in certain communities and relationships. Like there's still this like this underlying like thing that people aren't saying to each other. Like they're saying one thing, but they're actually not sharing the depth of it. They're saying there's a lot of communication, but it's like going haywire. They're like, it's like that grand old metaphor of like when you ask your partner, why do you love me? And then you hear why they love you, and then you're like, but that's not love. And I ask you why you love them, and I'm like, and then you're like, oh, that's love? And it's like a grand old like philosophical conversation for the ages, right? Like, um, there is no defining that thing that is love. It's different for each of us. And so that's what they're like saying is actually occurring in communities that people are a part of. And they're saying these communities can be family, professional, and then they're like showing me a community I can't make sense of. They're like, you can use the word creative, but just leave that one as open. for people to interpret it based on what community they might be in. They're saying, because like there could be a batch of people who are like questioning, and there's disharmony in like spiritual communities. There could be, they're saying like disharmony within like a specific like hobby-based activity that people do with other people. Like it'll be particular to you. Like you'll know from receiving this message, ah, yes, this community is it, right? So like they're saying the first one is like personal, familial, um, and they're also putting like friendships there. Then they say like professional community, and then they're saying like creative, open community to whatever it is you spend your time doing, right? Um, and they want me to go back and sort of explain like what's actually happening in the disharmony that's occurring in the sound, because it sounds like they're saying the sound, like when I sensed it, it wasn't like a lot of it wasn't even a lot of arguing. It was just a lot of talking, but it was just never quite. It's like I could sense that people were in discord, but it was funny. They're like, it's almost as though they don't even know they're in discord and they're just like missing each other. And so they're saying like, is there a community that you're a part of in which it feels like that, like you're coming together and it feels like you're in connection, but there's something like slightly off. And for you, that feeling off might just be like a sense of not feeling as connected to that community as you once did, not feeling as seen or heard. Um, you're saying it could also be like the dynamic of the community has changed because there are new rules, guidelines, expectations. There could also be new people that are shifting and changing that community and the way that it's set up. Um, and they want to remind you community is the lifeblood of everything. And they want to take you back to like family is community. Um, they're saying like any group that you spend a significant amount of time with is a community. Let's see what else they have to share about that. They're saying community is the lifeblood of everything, and they keep repeating that because some of you have forgotten that you don't just show up to be in community with others because it's expected of you, because you decided to do this thing, so now you have to deal with these people, or like they're saying, or you were born into it. And so there's like a certain level of like expectation that makes it so that you're thinking it's not really that important, it's just another requirement. And they're saying like, what if in the depth of actually finding meaningful community and connection with others is like where you find yourself again? That there's a part of you that's missing or feels like it's missing, or part of you that feels, they say like hollowed out in some way because you're missing right now other humans who help you see yourself in ways that are really important. They're also saying you're also missing other humans to have fun with and to enjoy. And they're saying not in the obvious human have fun adult ways, right? Because there's always opportunities for that, like party and fun, but they're like saying like real, like actual joy, fun, and play that they're saying doesn't include alcohol, drugs, or another recreational substance that allows you to be in the presence of these community members. And they made that very clear. Um, and so they're asking you to consider like what what part of your heart is calling out for communion. Other people say communion with the divine. They're saying, how about you just gather communion with yourself when you're in community with others? So, what are the communities that allow you to be in deep communion with yourself so that you can actually connect with the divine in a way that is much more direct and not from a place of performance? I need to take a break there. I barely remember what I said. I don't know if you all know, but every time I channel, I don't always remember everything. Um, and so sometimes when a big message comes through, I'm like, am I done yet? And they're like, you just need a breather. And then that message is pretty big, so we're gonna take a breather because I don't even remember all of it. They're saying if community is the lifeblood of everything, then connection is its water. Oh, yeah. Because they're saying like water. They're like, think of blood and think of water. And think how water refreshes the blood in some way. Oh, cleanses. Oh. Mm. So they're sharing we could be in a lot of communities, but the question is, are we actually connecting? And what does that connection look like for you? The community can give you a way to connect. Like they can have pre-established ways of connecting, but then there are ways that you like to connect with people. And are you taking those into account? Right? Because often we're in communities and we assume like they're sharing me like, um, I'm an introvert and my love language is quality time. And for me, like, uh, I really love one-on-one time with people. Um, it can be a little overwhelming for me when there's such a large group. I like it when there's like it feels like I'm part of such a large group that it's like a movement. That feels freaking awesome. But and I love like juicy groups that are like 8 to 10. And then I just really love like one-on-one connection. And they're asking me to share that with you to remind you, like, you get to make choices as to what meaningful connection looks like to you. It's going to require you to do something you haven't done before. So they're saying, like, if you like one-on-one connection, that means you have to invite someone to do something and you have to be okay if they're not okay with it. And then try again anyway with someone else, clearly, right? Um, they're saying some of you have ways of connecting with other people that the community is waiting for you to share with the community so they can develop it too. So based on the community you're a part of and the way that you like to connect with other people, they're waiting for you to step up as a guide and like volunteer and say like, "Hey, have we considered doing this?" And then let the group, discuss it and that you'll be surprised. Some communities are going to be really open to it. And then you also have to be open to like compromise or something. Like sometimes it feels like sacrifice. But no, it's compromise, right? Because you have an idea of how connection works. And then the group and the community is going to take it in and they're going to try to make it their own. Because right now it's just yours. And that's the beauty of connection is that you both come together. Right. So like they're showing me like one, you may invite someone out for coffee or tea once, and then they might share that they like love eating, I don't know, Mediterranean food and invite you to dinner. And you're like, I wasn't thinking I'd do a whole dinner, right? But would you say no, no, because you like one-on-one connection, right? And maybe next time you're like, oh, let's do an activity. We like to hang out together. Maybe we'll go see an art gallery. Right? Like one-on-one connection can look in so many different ways based on what each person sort of likes, right? Like they're showing me like I have friends who I can like go do creative things with. And their friends were like, we just sit there because that's just what we do. Like we're with each other, and that's meaningful to us, right? And so you'll know, they're saying you'll know which friends and which communities you're a part of that are gonna ask that of you. Um, or what they're saying is like you know what communities you're a part of that will be open to your invitation to connect in that way. But that they're saying it's really up to you. And they're saying if you don't know, that's okay too. The point of this is for you to gather a sense of self-awareness. Because what makes other people feel connected in a community may not be what helps you feel connected. They're saying you need to repeat that. So, what helps other people feel connected in a community isn't necessarily always what makes you feel connected in a community. And so, they're saying you may have gone along on this journey of the way that the community functions and what they do, and not, they're saying like some of us don't like to ruffle feathers. And now you're like, ooh, something's off. So you get to go on a journey of self-awareness with that, and you get to try out a few things. And they're saying for some of you, it's like the energy of the community is no longer working for you. And no matter what you do, it's just not going to be in alignment. And there's something off about it. And they're saying trust your journey of healing to know whether or not your job is to heal yourself and stay a part of the community, or part of the healing is to walk away from the community. And they're saying that may be forever for just a short time, but that there's something that might be off. Um, It might require that. Uh, but that you have to make an effort And they're saying an effort means not like a grandiose amount of energy. They're saying like you could try one thing once a month and be like, "Ooh, I'm going to be really aware of how I show up to the community gathering and see what is it that upsets me by the end? What is it that's happening and unfolding in the group?" Or like, um, they're saying for some of you it could just be you're hungry, right? Because the group meets and they're not really thinking about people's hunger signals and you're not taking care of yourself and now you need to bring your own snacks or you need to make sure you eat a full meal before the community gathers. Right? Like sometimes it's that simple, they say. Sometimes you're not paying attention enough to yourself to show up as a resource as you can to be in the community the way you want to. And then they're like, you're a little pissy because you're like trying to get out of the community gathering as soon as possible. And people are trying you. They're like wanting to talk and all this stuff. And you're like, I gotta go. I'm hungry. Like clear sentient wise, they're like, belly dropped, you know? Like, it could be that simple. And they're saying that hunger could also be like some other um, emotional hunger too. But sometimes we show up to these communities in hopes that these parts of us are filled, and that's not the purpose of that community. I have to laugh because I'm like, oh, that hurts. It hurts to share and to feel and to realize whatever is coming through me. But um, and that sometimes it's our job to get that resource and that level of being resourced somewhere else, so that we can then show up to the community in alignment and receive what we're actually supposed to receive from that community. So even in my mind, they were like, you could be well resourced and go to therapy and get that kind of one-on-one support and then go to a community gathering to feel what it's like to not be alone in all that. That was just something that came through. I don't know what that is. So if it was for you, I hope it was supportive. But they're saying sometimes the communities we are a part of, we want them to fulfill like 500 things. They're like this, and this. And they're like, but some of that stuff is your stuff to do. Like you need to go feed yourself. You need to go, they're like, you need to go enjoy life and do some stuff independently. And then you need to, do the writing you want to do. And then you can, like they're saying you could do all those things and then you can show up to the community and see what it has to offer you, but that there are parts of you that you're seeking to be fulfilled in spaces that aren't necessarily meant to fulfill it in that way. That doesn't mean that space and that community and those people aren't meant to be there. It just means those aren't the people that give you those things to help you feel resourced. And you're a sovereign, wonderful human and adult, and you get to decide, like, well, what is it that I need? And they're like, that's how you'll actually know whether or not it's time to leave the community, is when you get well resourced everywhere else and you come back and you're like, this does nothing for me. It doesn't trigger me in a bad way. It doesn't provide me joy. It just doesn't feel like it's working for me anywhere or anymore. And so they're saying, but you won't be able to make that decision if you don't actually go get well resourced in the way that you're meant to, so that you can see the community clearly, neutrally, a little bit more objectively. Because when you're sitting there just trying to fulfill your needs all the time, it's like on survival, on survival, on survival. Will I get this? And are they going to do this? And it's like, oh, let me take a minute. Like, what within me needs to be fed and cared for and resourced so I can show up to the community the way I really feel like I can be there. So I can be of service and so I can also be um given what I require, right? They're saying like, so get clear for yourself. They're saying some communities will hold it all. And they're showing me like some of us are in partnerships or in families that hold a lot for us. And some of us are not. And they're not meant to hold it all. And they're like, and that has to be okay too. They're like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not good or bad or ugly or wonderful. It just is. And now it's your job. They're saying it's your job to get clear on your need. And if it's not clear to you, then to ask for support from the divine and guidance from the divine. That they will send you messages about what is actually unfolding if you ask. And they're saying some of you forget. They're like, did you ask? Did you ask us? Did you ask a friend? Did you ask someone you trust? Right? They're like, you don't have to go on this journey alone. And you shouldn't, because that's the complexity of being in community with others, is that there's like a lot of layers to it. And if you try to do it alone, most likely it won't be done from those sovereign place. So they're saying find the help and ask for it, especially on the spiritual level, because it needs to be requested. It won't always like, it'll be there, but if you want it directly and you know this is a community and a space for which you want to gather a sense of healing from, and you really want to move through this journey, then just ask. Be direct in what you're asking for. And then find the other people on sort of like the physical human realm that will help you integrate and move through these learnings. Because you shouldn't do it alone. They're saying, they say it may sound counterintuitive. It's like you have to figure out community issues in community with other people. And that community may just be one other person. They're like, that community, the other human level might just be a therapist or a coach. And then you have the spiritual level. And it may just be like one other person in your life. Like it doesn't have to be like tons of other communities, right? But it has to be like at least, they're saying at least one human being that you're in communion with that helps you understand your role, your identity, um, and your function within a certain community that you're sitting here questioning. I'm gonna see if there's anything else. We are complete, they say. If after my channel messages, I often do an oracle card reading. So if you want a little bit more direct guidance, then check out the next video I'll link to at the end of this. Sometimes the messages come out a lot more practical when I take out the divination tools. Um, And for me, those are always just Oracle cards. So you're welcome to come join me in that video and see what kind of connections you can see there. If you feel it in your heart and you know that this is the kind of work that you would like to do with a coach and a spiritual guide, you're more than welcome to check out the comments. I would love to be able to support you. And I'll see you in the next video.